live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media, the fake news out there, and providing you the timely truth centered around real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, tax planning, and so much more. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, where our number one goals are to educate, entertain, enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now, we want you to pull out your smartphone, save our Consumer Advocate Hotline number in your phone. It's 813-670-7372. And save that number in your phone. You can call or text our hotline, 813-670-7372. And we got Anthony's favorite song tuned up here. You guys said you want to mess with Anthony today a little bit, so
let's get him, yeah.
We'll have some fun. All right, so we've got all-star lineup for you today. Jake Alexander in the house. He's an enrolled agent with the IRS, is a tax expert, and he's the owner of Alexander Financial. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Yes, sir. And Gary Hallock, also back in studio, territory manager with WeInsure. Welcome in.
Brandon, good to see you again.
Likewise.
Look forward to talking to about sinkholes today.
Talk about some sinkholes. It's in the news. Let's talk about it. Let's educate our listeners out there and go against the grain there that's so often perpetuated in the community. There's a lot of misnomers around sinkholes. We're going to dive deeper into that. And Snoop Dogg in the house, Snoop Dog Smith, owner A-Snoop Inspection. Welcome in, sir.
Hey, glad to be here, Brandon.
Excellent. Yes, sir. Welcome back. So we had a good gratitude party last night. Had some fun down there at Cox Media Group Bone.
We definitely did. I had a good time.
That was great.
Matt did a really nice memory, and it's really cool the way he did that. It was really cool.
That was a great presentation, yeah.
He's going to come on in August and sometime as well, Anthony said. So very cool. So, yeah, all-star lineup, intelligent talk radio, and we're going to help you win no matter what you're facing. Bookmark our website, consumerqb.com, consumerqb.com. A plethora of information available for you at that website. You can see links to all of our expert contributors. You can find all their contact information there, and make sure you reach out. Anything you hear today on the show, that's the goal of this show. That's what makes us different from most other shows, is that we cater our content, we cater our message to what's going on in the community, what's happening. We're going to deliver the timely truths around credit and finance, estate planning, insurance, so many different ways that we can help you. So we want to make sure you engage with us. That's the best way to live a better life, and that's the goal of this show. We don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We're going to help you win. And we're giving a quick shout out to Signature Massage and Facial Spa in Tampa. Are you looking for a place to get a massage or a facial at an affordable price? Then look no further. At Signature Massage and Facial Spa, they have a 1-hour Swedish massage for $49.95. Always no contracts. Come in for the early bird hours and you receive an additional $10 off, where you'll receive professional massage at a great price. For all those muscles that need extra work, talk about getting a deep tissue or sports massage. And if skincare is what you're looking for, they have amazing facial and microderm packages. Check out Signature Massage and Facial Spa at 11248 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. And longtime friends of the program there, Signature Massage. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this content. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. I'm a top listing agent here in Tampa Bay, and just recently featured again in Florida Realtor Magazine. Real excited about that, some of the press that we're receiving there. And a lot of cool things happening as well. Working on getting Ken Shamrock on the show. Ken Shamrock, the Hall of Famer, UFC Hall of Famer, and his business partner, Des Woodruff, also, because we're going to be expanding this model into other markets. So that's some of the cool stuff that haven't really made big announcements yet, but kind of leaking that out a little early there. But
that's awesome.
Let's go ahead and start this roundtable discussion. Jake Alexander, we're going to start off with you, Alexander Financial, and we talk about a lot about real estate on this show. You know, there's so many ways that real estate has advantages. You look at some of the investment side of it, but then when you look at the IRS, there's definitely some strong suits there.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the tax benefits of home ownership, and I do want to get into some of the investor side, but just to hit on the consumer side a little bit. A lot of people are unaware of how taxes work, and every year the IRS allows you to take either the standard deduction or itemize your deductions. Okay. And the standard deduction is a preset limit that the IRS essentially gives you that you can deduct from your taxable income to lower your overall tax liability. And based on your filing status, these numbers are preset accordingly. One of the catalysts for being the benefit for people to move into the itemized section is when they become homeowners. And that reason is automatically, once you're a homeowner, you can write off 100% of all the interest you pay on your mortgage, all of your real estate taxes, and those coupled with a handful of other deductions that makes you privy to, 9 times out of 10, it's going to make more sense for you to begin to itemize your deductions than just take that standard deduction. So yeah, people becoming homeowners, I like to say, is one of the first steps in, and I love being on the show because you're always talking about being proactive instead of reactive, tax planning and right. Making an effort to plan this stuff out over years. Becoming a homeowner is, in my opinion, one of the first steps to really starting to develop a tax plan and have a strategy around that kind of stuff. So
that's right. Yeah, it's a great way to build wealth, and you look at the ability to buy real estate through an IRA. Sometimes we talk about with Scott Maurer, Advanta IRA. There's so many ways that real estate is such a strong area to invest in.
Absolutely.
Consistently appreciating. It's going to grow in value. And then, of course, you can insure it. Gary Hallock's going to talk about that coming up as well. But so let's talk about, you mentioned the insurance, the 100% deductions of the interest paid, the taxes, and then other. So let's talk about those other. What is that, like a home-based office, things like that?
Yeah, so when you do become an itemizer, we like to call them, you can write off other things like gifts to charity, charitable donations, whether that be to a family member, a friend, that can be in the form of cash or check. Certain things that could be like employee business expenses. So even if you are a typical W-2 employee, if you have certain expenses that are incurred for like the use of your vehicle, or if you did have a home office, you can start to incorporate some of those expenses too, which is where things tend to get a little more exciting, because then you're starting to really understand the benefits of having a tax strategy in place.
Right. Yeah. And you look at the home office, some of those different areas where you can benefits there. Let's kind of take it out from a micro to a macro level here. What are you seeing out there as far as every year there's different scams that come about. There's different things that consumers need to look at and consider. What's happening out there right now?
A real big one right now is, and it's pretty crazy. This just happened to me. I was actually targeted a few weeks ago, and I'm not sure if it's a call center setup or exactly what the situation is, but they're placing calls to taxpayers and essentially threatening them that they owe either current or past tax liabilities if they don't make immediate payment over the phone. And it's typically something ridiculous with like an iTunes gift card or a prepaid gift card that they're going to send the police to their house. They're going to arrest them. If these are people of a foreign nature, they're threatening deportation, all kinds of different stuff. And so I tell people the IRS is never going to call you and demand immediate payment over the phone. They don't text message. They don't use social media. Their preferred method of communication is through sending letters. And so written communication is the way that they notify everyone of any balances. If you did owe money to the IRS, you're going to know because they're going to reach out to you several times. But if you ever have a question with any of those kind of events happening and you wanted to consult a professional, I'd be glad to walk you through it. So
what about 1031 exchange? This is more of the investor side, right? I think the 1031 exchange is where somebody's saying, hey, I want to sell a property maybe from a different market, maybe, and then they want to buy a like and similar property in maybe Tampa Bay, Clearwater, St. Pete. Let's talk about a 1031 a little bit.
Yeah, those are brilliant. And that's a great way to defer taxes when you look at like real succession planning. We actually just performed one of these through my family. My father lives out in Dallas, Texas, and he recently, we've been in the rental markets for years and years. And so he recently sold one of his properties, and you can do what's called a 1031 exchange, which is where you invest the profits into one or more like-kind properties, and you defer the taxes on there until you eventually sell the property and liquidate everything. So that's a great way to go.
So you don't recapture the losses or the write-offs, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So,
and it's interesting as well. There's some rules that you have to follow. You have to identify the new properties, and you can identify multiple properties, but that's part of the rules, right? You have to identify that up front before you close.
So there's certain limitations, and I need to study up myself, but I believe, don't quote me on this, but within 45 days of closing on the current property, you need to identify the new property, and then I believe within 6 months of that, the new property has to close.
Right. Yeah.
So that's my understanding.
Something similar to that.
Yeah. And I might be a little off, like I said, but
yeah. So for more detail, if you're interested in this, we would love to hear from you. Give us a call on our hotline 813-670-7372. Call or text. We would love to hear from you. 813-670-7372. And also, we're going to make an offer as well. If you have a need, if you're an investor out there, you're looking for foreclosure properties, we have a foreclosure list that we can offer you as well. So if you want to find out more about that, shoot a call or a text, 813-670-7372. You can call or text that line, and at 670-REQB. Now, you have a second option. You can also hit us up at the website, consumerqb.com, consumer QB like quarterback. Just submit the form. On the far right, there's a contact form there. You'll be able to submit an email directly to us, and we'll answer any questions you have. If you want tax advice, we've got Jake Alexander for that. If you want to find out more about insurance issues, things happening, a lot of the sinkhole that we're going to talk about, Gary Hallock is your man with WeInsure. And also Snoop Dog coming on as well, owner of A-Snoop Inspection. He's going to snoop out those houses that you may buy and find out what's going on with them, any corrections needed to be made, find out what's happening with that property before there is an issue. And we'll be right back. We're going to give a shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties, 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed by the Maids Cleaning Service. They are referred for a reason. And when we come back, we got interesting stories here. We got a two-year-old's brain damage has been reversed after near drowning. That's in our feel-good story of the week. And we're also going to have our expert contributors here, guests. We're going to do our top 10. So they're going to be guessing top 10 grossing superhero movies of all times. So stay with us. You're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. I'm a former USF football player. I played on the inaugural football team at the University of South Florida. Longtime quarterback on my sports teams. Dad was the coach, and now we're quarterbacking transactions for our sellers and listers, buyers out there in the real estate space, investors in real estate. And we're also quarterbacking introductions to any of our 80-plus show partners that we bring on our show periodically. So, anything that you need, we want you to think about this show as the hub of your financial, your business, your health, will. Each spoke extending out, representing another one of our preferred partners, over 80 show partners, the finest folks in all of Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region of Florida that we've assembled, we vetted, and we bring on the show to help you win no matter what you're facing. So when you think about anything out there, credit improvement, insurance needs, real estate, financial advice, we want you reaching out at 813-670-7372. Give us a call or a text, 813-670-7372. That's our consumer advocate hotline. You can call or text that line anytime, as well as consumerqb.com. Submit a form at consumerqb.com. Owner of Platinum MVP Realty here, and I'm also a top listing agent, and I've got a couple of hot ones I want to let you know about. 10616 Cape Hatteras Drive in Tampa. This is a gated community within a gated community. You've got a beautiful neighborhood here with bay access if you're a boater. 4 bedrooms, 2 and 1/2 bath. $382,000, just reduced, over 2,900 square foot heated, and it's a beautiful pool and spa in the back there. You've got a conservation area, beautiful property in Palm Bay at 10616 Cape Hatteras Drive in Tampa, as well as 701 East Crenshaw Street in Tampa. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, pool home, fenced in backyard, and a complete renovation, exceptional remodel that is worth a look at 701 East Crenshaw Street in Tampa. $254,000 just reduced, and it's a great buying opportunity here in beautiful, lovely Tampa Bay. All right, a quick shout out to Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora in St. Pete Beach. It's the first new hotel built on St. Pete Beach in decades. Spanish ancestry meets cool Mediterranean attitude. Whitewashed Mediterranean palace with expansive luxury suites overlooking the Intracoastal Waterway, as well as the Gulf of Mexico. Beautiful hotel partner. They got a beautiful restaurant, awesome restaurant on site as well. Castile Restaurant and Lounge, 360 Lounge on the rooftop. And if you haven't been there, you got to go check it out. A great place to go have a nice little staycation. The pool area, they got an awesome little party type scene going on now on Sundays. They've got the service industry days, service industry nights on Sunday, rooftop yoga on the weekends, and make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you when you're reserving your room. And if you call the front desk there, just let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. You're going to get a 15 to 20% discount off just by mentioning the quarterback show. All right, we're back here in studio, all-star lineup, Intelligent Talk Radio. I've got some intelligent folks here in studio with me today. Jake Alexander, he's the owner of Alexander Financial. Gary Hallock, he's the territory manager for WeInsure, insurance expert here. And also Jay Smith, Snoop Dog, owner of A-Snoop Inspection in the house as well. So let's see. So we're talking about with Jake Alexander, we're talking about standard deduction versus itemized deductions, different things that homeowners can do. We talked a little bit about the investment side of real estate. And let's go ahead and just kind of follow up on that investment side of real estate. What are you seeing from some of your clientele out there? I mean, as far as investments goes, are they kind of diversifying? Or are they into?
Absolutely, and I guess a niche you could call it for us is working with real estate investors. In my opinion, it's one of the best, most secure investments that you can do when you look at coupling the investment side with strategic tax deductions.
Right.
And so going kind of from that consumer side to the investor side, then you're going to be able to take advantage of even more tax deductions, things like depreciation, any improvements you put into the property. And it's really genius too, because even if you look at, if you have an investment property with a mortgage, a lot of times you can get into a situation where you're cash flowing not much, say it's $150 or $200 a month.
Yep.
You're positively cash flowing every month on an asset that's appreciating in value,
right,
while strategically taking advantage of tax deductions. So you're making money on something that's going up in value while currently saving you money every year too. So it's a no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah, it's such a win-win. It really is. You look at real estate, there's so many ways. And then you have the ability to insure the asset, and that's where Gary Hallock comes in, territory manager of WeInsure. So, Gary, what are you seeing in your space?
You know, we're working with a lot of investors that have multiple properties, and you know, the big thing is on the investor side, the insurance is deductible, and so they're looking to make sure that if they have a risk that gets destroyed in a fire, that they're getting their money back and able to rebuild it or sell the land off and not lose money on it. So again, even the insurance is a deductible. Again, ask Jake to make sure that I am correct on this. But as an expense on the rental property, on the personal side, you know, I was actually just up visiting my grandmother. She just turned 102.
Wow.
So you know, hopefully got some longevity in my family. But it's, you know, I kept getting calls about sinkholes. And there's a sinkhole 2 miles from my house. You might have seen it on the news lately.
Yeah.
I think it's taken a car, a boat, and 2 houses, the driveway, part of the county road. And, you know, I get a lot of calls from the client standpoint is, am I insured? Because there's an endorsement that can be put on a policy called a sinkhole endorsement that's more has to do with settling of the ground. And most companies, depending on where it's at, obviously, because homes are getting swallowed by sinkholes, are not covered or are not endorsing policies with this endorsement. But what every policy does have is catastrophic ground collapse. So these 3 homes that have had their driveways taken, they're going to get 100% payout on their dwelling. And if they didn't get their contents out, we'll probably get 100% payout on their contents. Again, contact your agent to make sure you have the coverage. But, you know, these people, as long as they have insurance, are going to be covered with this catastrophic loss of their home. And you know, that's what people are really worried about. You know, insurance is really designed that you come home and your house is missing in the bottom of a hole, that you're covered. And that's every policy in Florida legislatively has that. And there are some exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, that is a true statement.
Yeah, Gary Hallock here on the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Now, so Gary, when we look at these catastrophic land loss, property losses, so generally speaking, then the endorsement, there's going to be an endorsement there for something like that. It doesn't happen because correct me, you know, if I'm wrong here, but sometimes when you have flood, it depends, or water damage, it depends on if it's a water rising versus something that breaks in the ceiling and it comes through like a plumbing pipe. Let's talk about that, because sometimes you do have to have an extra endorsement for that. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, you know, there's for water damage. And again, there's 2 different types. So there's what's called water backup and sewer. So your toilet clogs, you get what's called black water coming out of the toilet, that you need to have the bathroom drywall taken out because of the toxic nature of that. And again, the policy, if it's not endorsed, may not be covered. And then if you look at certain policies, it's how is it written? So is it caused by the county? Did the county sewer system power failure cause the damage, or was there some sort of blockage within the property that caused it? Okay. And that could dictate on how the policy pays. And again, it usually is an endorsement. A pipe breaking is water damage, and that's not water backup. So that's a different coverage and a different endorsement. And some companies limit, especially on the older homes, coverages for that kind of damage. Obviously, pipes get older, losses go up with those kind of risks, so they limit how much damage will be paid. And there's been a lot of fraud in that area. Companies will come in, a pipe will break under the sink, and next thing you know, you need an $80,000 kitchen when it really just needed to be dried out. So there's been a lot of fraud in that area. And then finally, water from outside, not finally, roof leaks. You know, I've seen some really weird claims where you get a sideways wind, blows water up through the soffit, and causes damage that way. It's not actually even a bad roof. It's just the way the wind blew the water into the house.
Wow.
And then finally is flood insurance, which I know is a really big issue here in Florida. We've seen rates go up. There's, you know, the federal government made some changes about 3 years ago, the Biggs Water Act, and then there's been some supplement changes on that. And what we're seeing is rates, especially in the pre-firm or before the flood insurance map was created, we're seeing large rate increases, up to 25% a year in premium. And so there's a lot of frustration from people. The good news is there's some private markets coming out. The private markets are providing lower cost, and they also, a huge advantage is it's a RCE policy, a replacement cost policy, versus an ACV. which is an actual cash value policy. The federal policy is an actual cash value policy, and a lot of the private floods are replacement cost policies. So for an example, and I use it from you bought a couch 10 years ago, paid $4,000 for it. It's 10 years old. It's depreciated to zero. Your insurance company is going to give you zero on an actual cash value policy. And if you have replacement costs, they're going to give you the $4,000 to go buy a brand new policy. So those are some important endorsements that need to be looked at from a flood standpoint and a homeowner's standpoint.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks for breaking that down for us. We appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to talk more about that. We're also going to jump into some conversations with Jay Smith, home inspection expert here, and talk about some of that sideways rain. How can that happen? What do we do to protect from that in ways that we can insure our properties and making sure, of course, of a purchase of a property, we're going to be protected. Also, we've got the top 10 grossing superhero movies of all times coming up. We're going to have our expert contributors guess that, and our feel-good story of the week as well. A 2-year-old's brain damage has been reversed after a near drowning. So stay with us. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley, celebrity TV fitness host and creator of The Spin Gym. I'm here today with Brandon Rhymes, and you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Great ways to get happy, healthy, and wealthy.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty. And giving a big shout out to Felicia Lacaille with Healthy Gourmet. Meal plan starting at $90 a week. Healthy Gourmet is going to be your go-to choice for any type of delivery food service to your home or office. Organic veggies, natural proteins, delivered fresh 3 times a week, and optimal fuel, optimal performance. What else do you have in this world if you don't have your health? Get your food delivered to your home or office starting at $90 a week. I mean, that's very affordable when you look at that and you break it down versus what you're going to do on your own time and efforts and energies and all that good stuff. So giving a shout out to Felicia Lacaille, longtime friend of the program. Also got a couple of hot listings I want to let you know about. 422 Park Street South in St. Pete. This is on the bottom of the burg, so to speak there. It's right across, like 1 block from the bay. You got water views from this property. 422 Park Street South, $339,000. Just hit the market. And it's a fabulous home and fabulous location where you can live in a desirable Park Street South, truly one of St. Pete's finest neighborhoods, Old Pasadena, and listed at $339,000. Great buying opportunity, fenced-in backyard, completely remodeled kitchen. Also, pre-construction property here. This is a great buying opportunity in Old Northeast St. Petersburg, 215 12th Avenue Northeast St. Petersburg, $1.29 million, and it's a great buying opportunity. 4 bedrooms, 5 bath. Over 3,688 square feet. And it's an opportunity to design with your own style as well. If you get this contracted before the September 1st delivery date, you can go in and kind of put all the finishing touches, little color schemes, whatever you want to do as far as granite and flooring and all that good stuff. So 215 12th Avenue Northeast in St. Pete. We would love to hear from you about any of your real estate needs out there. Platinum MVP Realty. We're going to help you maximize the exposure. 813-670-7372. And that's our consumer advocate hotline, 813-670-REQB. And also consumerqb.com. That's our website, blog site, a plethora of information. You can see links to all of our expert contributors. Again, over 80 show partners that we can connect you with. Everything from credit improvement to mortgage, real estate, finance, estate planning, tax planning. So many different ways that we can help you. Consumerqb.com. Back here in studio with me today, Jake Alexander. He's the owner of Alexander Financial. We're talking about real estate, standard deductions, itemized deductions, ways that you can keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket when it comes to dealing with the IRS. And we're talking with Gary Hallock as well. He's a territory manager of WeInsure. He's an insurance expert, kind of sorting through a lot of the myths out there about sinkholes and some of this catastrophic ground collapse. And also Jay Smith, Snoop Dog, owner of A-Snoop Inspection, in the house as well. So Jay, we were talking about when we were talking with Gary, he's saying all these different ways that water can affect the property. You got pipes bursting, you got some of that sideways rain coming in like they used to have on Forrest Gump. You know, so how do you protect from these things? What's your advice on some of this stuff? Is just
Well, I mean, for instance, one of the things, the old style 3-tab shingles are more susceptible to actually get lifted up and be removed from the house. So most of your new roofs that are being put on any kind of home, if they're doing an asphalt shingle, they'll do what they call an architectural or a dimensional shingle. They're a little heavier. They hold down better than the old 3-tabs.
Okay.
The other thing about the 3-tabs, they've got multiple places where, say, a branch breaks off a tree and slides across your roof. That's when it helps rip off some of the shingles.
Oh, I see.
So, I mean, there's definitely some standards that have changed through the years. Even simple things. If you've still got an old roof in 2002, a lot of the codes changed to where there's actually more nails installed in the shingle when they're put down, which changed the wind loading, the whole 9 yards on a roof.
So it's going to hold it better.
Yes.
Yeah, the more you're tacking it down. So and what about the soffit and the fascia, coming through the side? I mean, what is there anything you can do there? I mean, is it just the standard building codes?
Most of it's just making sure that everything's in place. I mean, when we do inspections, we find that there's loose soffits, that they're not totally up there the way they should be. Mm-hmm. It could have been a faulty installation. Mm-hmm. It could be just wear and tear through the years. But just taking care of the maintenance on your home could be part of it.
Yeah, being proactive, again, it's the theme of this show, is being proactive about your home maintenance. And also, so when you're looking at the buying process, I mean, a lot of your business is going to be dictated on the buyer side of the transaction. Is that right?
Yeah, we're doing it for the buyer, trying to give them as much information as possible for what they're getting ready to purchase. Right. And sometimes if a house has been empty for a while, there's a lot of deferred maintenance. Nothing's been happening on it for the last 6 months or a year. Or, even if you're buying a house that someone just got sick and they haven't been able to maintain the house, we'll find items with those homes. They might have maintained them very well for 20 years. Then all of a sudden, if they got sick the last 2 years, it's not as well maintained. And there's some things that need to be done.
Yeah. And then on the listing side of the transaction, I like to get you involved on the listing side of the transactions, because especially if it's an older property, there's going to be a lot of things that could potentially come up, and it's better for us to find it on the selling side versus being, reactive to a buyer side, real estate agent, and they're going in and they're getting the inspection done, and then it comes up. So talk about that a little bit, on the selling side of it. I think it's such an important factor.
Of course, there's several occasions, either getting a full home inspection that you really want to take care of the house and get almost everything fixed and make sure that you're selling a nice home to the next buyer, or it can be as simple as the insurance stuff. I mean, Gary, on an older home, they're going to ask for a 4-point report, which is separate from the home inspection. And the 4-point could have some issues that could slow down the process of getting the insurance. There's going to be things on a home that if a window doesn't close right, that's not an insurance problem. If you've got too many wires going into a breaker inside your electrical box, that's a problem for insurance. So that's the kind of things we're looking at. So
what's typically, what are you seeing that's most prevalent in those situations? And I'll ask, kind of throw it up to both you guys. What are you seeing that could potentially stop an FHA mortgage, a VA mortgage, a conventional? What's typically going to happen? What are you going to see?
I would say two things myself. Roofs, number one, whether it has enough life in it. The roof may be good today, but as a newly insured home, because it's changing hands, they're going to want at least 3 or 4 years of life in that roof for them to be able to insure it today. You may be still fine on your insurance if you're living in the house. You may not even have any leaks or anything like that going on. But for the new buyer coming in, it's a different stage of where they're looking at that house. They want them to be in that house for a while before they have to do those kind of large maintenance items. And the second part of it would be electrical. I mean, it's old electrical panels. I had one last week that the panel's over 50 years old. It's 1961. And you get over that 50-year mark, whether it's in good condition or not, it's still just time for that panel to be replaced and updated.
And that's where it comes into, you see the cloth wiring, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, our biggest issues, from the 4-point is the roof. Again, what people don't understand is once the insurance has been underwritten, the carriers do go back and look at it periodically just to make sure the risk is still appropriate, that the roof hasn't exceeded its life expectancy. But when a carrier takes that risk on, especially with a new purchase, and we get the 4-point from Jay, and we're sending it off to the carrier, they spend a lot of time looking at that, and the roof is a big issue. And the second thing is the electrical panel. People will come in, and I believe it's called a double tap, where they put 2 wires into a single circuit. And again, instead of bringing an electrician in, they kind of home jerry rig it, I would say, would be is how you see a lot of that.
And the problem with a double tap is that you've got separate circuits running off the same one, so it can actually overload the breaker, and of course then it heats up. You run into so many other issues with that possibility.
So let's talk about the cloth wiring specifically now. So the cloth wiring, a lot of these neighborhoods and some of the older parts of Pinellas County especially, you see it as block homes. I mean, they're built solid. But in Clearwater and Seminole, all these different areas, you're still going to find this cloth wire. Let's talk about that.
Not as a electrician or anything, but from an insurance standpoint, carriers do not want cloth wiring for 2 reasons. And actually, the other thing they don't want is aluminum wiring. There's a lot of risk for fire, and clearly that's one of the issues that a claim is filed on. And they're looking to mitigate that risk, and cloth wire increases the risk. The wiring, the cloth frays can contact with other metal and start your house on fire. And again, it's a safety feature. You don't want your house catching on fire at 2:00 in the morning and you dying from it. So I look at it as a kind of a good thing on both sides from an insurance standpoint and safety. And electricians will come in and they'll take out that cloth wiring and run new wiring in the house with the new. I'm not sure what the code is.
Well, today's standard, we call it Romex, and Romex is actually a brand of wire. But we've been using a similar wire since 1972. I mean, that's how long this has been out, and there hasn't been any major changes in it. And if you've got a house older than that, there could be a time it's going to be rewired, especially in your old homes. Your first electrical systems in the 1920s, 1930s. I mean, we're going on 80, 90, 100 years old. Unfortunately, we have invented better ways of doing it now, and we've got to update them.
Well, I think it's we see the fuses. We actually came across a home that has fuses, those screw-in fuses. And, you remember when you were a kid, people would shove a penny in there on their fuse. They didn't have one and then forget about it. And again, a penny's not going to have, it's just going to overload and catch your house on fire. And that's why the insurance companies are getting rid of that. And it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's safety and your personal safety.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what's interesting about the fuse box. It actually would blow fairly easy, actually almost in a sense easier than a breaker. So safety wise, it was a good idea, but it was also too easy to override what you had. That was really the safety issue, is where it was coming in, exactly like you were saying. Put the penny behind it.
Nickel.
Well, yeah. Hey, so the experts are Gary Hallock and Jay Smith with A-Snoop Inspection. Gary Hallock, WeInsure. So if you have any questions, comments on what we just spoke about there, give us a call on our hotline, 813-670-7372. Call or text our hotline, 813-670-7372. And let's get those questions answered, find out where you're at, and we're going to put you in touch with the best in the business. Also, when we come back, we're going to jump into our top 10 grossing superhero movies of all times. We'll see how our expert contributors stack up on guessing that game, and also we got a feel-good story for you on our Tell Me Something Good segment, listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty, and Intelligent Talk Radio. I've got some intelligent folks here in studio with me today. Jake Alexander, he's the owner of Alexander Financial. He's an enrolled agent with the IRS, and he's a tax expert. We've got Gary Hallock. He's our insurance expert partner on the Quarterback Show, territory manager of WeInsure. And Snoop Dog Smith, owner of A-Snoop Inspection. He's going to find out any flaws, anything happening in your real estate properties out there, small commercial buildings, residential properties as well. And we're giving a quick shout out to Flotation Therapy with Chill Therapy in South Tampa. And they have new client specials. You got a 60-minute float for $49 at Flotation at Chill Therapy. You got a Flotation Therapy, pretty cool private float sessions in this really unique technology that they utilize there for the flotation, and you do a nice little meditation or listen to music while you're in there. They also have those cryotherapy. The benefits from cryotherapy are reduced inflammation, athletic recovery, sleep better, endorphin rush, improved circulation, and much more. So say hello to the folks, Brian and his team down at Chill Therapy in South Tampa. Check them out, chilltherapytampa.com. All right, we're back here in studio helping you win in any marketplace, and we got some final thoughts here from our expert contributors coming up in our lightning round, and we also have some interesting stories here from the going to do the top 10 grossing superhero movies of all time, and we also have an interesting story coming up as well. A 2-year-old's brain damage has been reversed after a near drowning. That's coming up in our feel-good story of the week. All right, so back to Jay. So Jay, we left off. We're talking about these different issues that happen with homes, and a lot of times it just boils down to being proactive.
It is, and unfortunately, part of it that we're looking at is the homeowners do-it-yourself projects on a home, running their own wiring in the garages or ceiling fans that they haven't wired properly. We find junctions in the attics that aren't properly done. That's the kind of things that we're looking for that you may not visibly see while you're walking through a home, because they are in the attic. You're not going up in the attic. You're not going on the roof. You're not out there in the garage actually opening up the electrical panel to see what everything looks like. And that's what our job is. Yeah. That's what we're there for.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very important in the transaction. If you're buying a home, you want to make sure you're reaching out to Jay Smith. If you're refinancing, potentially, and also if you're on the selling side, we like to get that done up front as well. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our Tell Me Something Good story here of the week.
Tell me something good. On February 29th, 2016, Eden Carlson drowned in a swimming pool. She was underwater for 15 minutes and technically died for nearly 2 hours. Miracle after miracle has brought her back to life. On the day of the drowning, Eden's mother found her, pulled her out, and performed CPR until doctors at a local hospital in Arkansas were ultimately able to revive her 2 hours later. Her lack of oxygen resulted in a severe brain injury, leaving the child unable to speak, walk, or respond to verbal cues. Eden was in the hospital for 48 days, receiving critical care before being discharged. 55 days after the accident, doctors began using a series of oxygen treatments to try and heal Carlson's brain. To wake up her brain, physicians gave Eden oxygen at a pressure higher than the general atmospheric pressure, increasing the amount of oxygen in her blood and repairing her damaged tissue in a sealed, pressurized hyperbaric chamber. In just 10 sessions, the toddler's mother said she was back to near normal. Eden was able to walk and speak even better than before the accident happened. She was markedly improved in all of her neurological, motor function, and cognition tests. An MRI scan 162 days after the incident showed that the child still has mild residual brain injury, but the cortical and white matter atrophy she suffered was nearly completely reversed.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Great story, huh, Bray?
Yeah.
You like that one?
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. So there's your feel-good story of the week, and let's go ahead and jump into our top 10. All right, so we're going to do the top 10 grossing superhero movies of all time. So let's start here with Jake.
Oh, man, I'm not big on the superheroes, but I know like the X-Men stuff is really popular, so that's got to be on there somewhere.
What is that called, the X-Men? I'm looking for the name X-Men here. I don't see it.
There's Apocalypse was one, right?
Let's see.
Maybe? No? Is that the last one? X-Men Apocalypse, I think?
I don't see it on here, buddy. But it could be. It could be a different name. See, I don't follow this much as well.
Yeah, I'm not big into the superhero stuff, but
okay. Yeah,
I know they make a lot of money though.
They all make a lot of money, and they keep redoing them. They keep redoing them with a little bit different twist on a different name. And so, Gary, you want to take a stab at it?
The new Wonder Woman movie came out, and I thought that looked pretty good. So.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman is on the list at number 9. It's $382 billion.
$1
million. $673,000.
We're in the wrong business.
953. So that was January or June of this year. Wonder Woman. So that's the other Wonder Woman, I guess. Is that the one that came out? Well, that was
the
June.
new one.
Yeah. All right, Jay.
I say Iron Man.
Iron Man
that's a big one.
is in the top 5, actually. Iron Man, $409 million, and that came out in May of this year. All right, back to Jake.
Let's go Avengers. I know those are popular.
Avengers, number 1, Marvel's Avengers.
There we go.
$623 million. Number 2 is Dark Knight.
That's the one I was going to guess.
Dark Knight.
Okay.
Number 3 is the Ultimate Ultron, Avengers Ultron. I guess the Avengers, what do they do? Just throw them all in the movie. They say, hey, these all put them all in the movie. Let's see how much money we can make. So yeah, Captain America's in there, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Spider-Man 2. So there's your top 10 grossing superhero movies of all time. And we've got enough time here for a quick lightning round. Let's go through the lightning round here.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds!
I majored in lightning.
All right, top tips, things to do, things to avoid. Jake Alexander, tax expert.
Buy real estate, whether it's for your personal use to live there with you and your spouse and your family, or for investment purposes. I tell people it's one of the most secure investments you can make while giving yourself strategic tax deductions. So highly recommend it.
Buying real estate, love it.
And buy it from Brandon Rhymes because he's an expert.
Thank you. Yeah, and through an IRA just adds an extra layer, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Scott Maurer with Advanta IRA comes to mind.
That's right. Awesome, good stuff. Like it, Gary.
Yeah, I think get a second opinion on your insurance. There's a lot of, we've come across a lot of clients that, they think they're saving a bunch of money, but they're getting a lot of coverages cut. And I think the agents aren't telling them the full truth. And just get a second opinion. Make sure you have the coverages that are important to you.
Get a review. I mean, that's what we talk about a lot. I would say get a review. Give us a call right now. Text us right this second at 813-670-7372. Call or text 813-670-7372. Get a review of your current policy. Get a review of your taxes. I mean, you can go back a couple years, right, Jake, and get a review on your taxes?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do amendments. We can go back to previous years. And a lot of my clients end up coming to us that way as they want a second opinion on what was done for the previous few years. Absolutely.
Yeah. So get a review on your insurance policy as well. Gary Hallock would be more than happy to sit down with you and go through that policy with you. Jay Smith.
Well, since we've been talking about investors, if it is as simple as just looking at the 4-point on any kind of property you're doing, whether you're going to flip it, whether you're going to keep it and rent it, call in a home inspector. I mean, I know you look at houses and you're remodeling them all the time. But if you just want to know what the insurances are like and what the potential issues for that, call us. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out, consumerqb.com. All of the contact information is there as well. All right, let's do another lightning round here. Quick hits, things to do, things to avoid, nuggets of advice. Jake Alexander.
Ooh, double time today, huh?
Yeah.
I like it. Find a tax professional that speaks your language, one that knows how to relate to you, knows how to explain the information to you in the way that you want to receive it. A lot of people in my profession, and it happens in all professions, they want to explain to the consumer how smart they are, how educated they are. And a lot of times that goes over the consumer's head to make them feel somewhat uncomfortable, and we don't do that. We like to explain things to people very simply and convey to them the information that they need to know to make the best decisions, and we're here to help you out. So
yeah, it's finding that good fit.
Yeah, good fit. There you go.
Gary Hallock.
Yeah, and back to that is you really want, whether you use whatever insurance agent you want, but make sure that they're willing to explain the coverages to you and take that time.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to do is give a shout out to the other agency owners I have in my territory. Yeah. Glenn McGaha down in Apollo Beach. So if you guys are down there, stop by and see him. I got Dave Wood over in St. Pete. Great guy. Edison DeBarros in Oldsmar. Wilson Peck, who's agency owner in Tampa. And I've got 3 agency owners actually in my office up in Lutz. And come by and see us, get some coffee and a donut, and look forward to seeing you.
I'm in on that.
Yeah, please.
There you go.
But
Jay,
yeah, get a second opinion. We got a bunch of guys.
Multifamily guys. I am a multi-inspector company. We go out and do your 10-unit, 30-unit, 40-unit places, and we can get it done in one day.
Nice. That's
Nice.
awesome. Good stuff. So,
That's
hey,
great.
great show today. I want to thank all of our expert contributors. I want to thank our listeners out there for tuning in, viewing our TV show on WeBeam TV, as well as you can stream it live from consumerqb.com on the live stream, and engage with us on social media. We'd love to hear back from you, answer some of your questions on air, and please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Something as simple as packing up leftover food, maybe leftover clothing you may have, carrying it with you to and from your commute to work, handing it to that person that you see in need on the side of the roadways out there. So be a force for good in the community and try to help someone every day. And continue to tune in to the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to help you win 80 categories of consumer advocate content, and we want to make sure we engage with you at our website, consumerqb.com, facebook.com/Brandon Rhymes PA, on Twitter @Brandon Rhymes 1. And we'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show, weekday afternoons at 5 on AM 1380. The Biz.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation, visit Pasco County, Florida.